Good afternoon. Just want to get on here and do a quick update on kind of where we're at. I've been kind of quiet the last couple weeks, month and a half or so, just because I've kind of had a little bit of breathing room, and it's been nice to have a little bit of time so I can kind of focus on other stuff that I have going on. Hope everybody's doing well. I miss the talks that we have. But what I want to touch base about today is obviously OFF. Their appeal was accepted today. They filed for the appeal. And so this is the first step of the process. And so the way this process is going to go, so they are going to go to the Ninth Circuit of Court down in San Francisco. It's going to be a three judge panel. And if they're victorious here, obviously the state of Oregon is going to appeal it. There's going to be endless appeals in this situation until we go all the way to the Supreme Court. And so that's something that we have to be prepared for. And I think part of, I'll let people kind of jump on. I hope everybody's doing well. If you guys can hear me, please let me know, because I'm not, I've been so censored on Facebook. I put up something, literally 2 people see it. It's been really challenging the past couple weeks. My reach is way down, especially when it comes to Instagram, YouTube's doing the same thing. So it's been a challenge getting information out to the public. And so if you guys can see this, please let me know. That's what helps other people, see this stuff. And so I want to kind of just touch base and kind of let you guys know kind of where we're at and what this looks like for us. And so, things that we need to focus on. And yeah, absolutely, Chris. And, that's the thing is, we're in this together. And so if there's things that you guys want to see, then we all need to kind of work together to make sure this stuff gets out, and, they don't want us talking about guns. They want us all censored. And unfortunately, Facebook is a necessary evil at this point until something's better. Yes, we are doing it live, Scott. So I just want to touch base with you guys. These are things, we've had some victories in the past, week and a half, 2 weeks. And so, things that we have working in our favor, obviously, there's a ruling out of Hawaii that was good. It talks about restrictive places. We had Colorado, we had the adults from 18 to 21, that was struck down. So we have all these things that are working in our favor. Obviously, we're still, hey, Lonnie, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it, buddy. And so, there's all these things that are working in our favor. And, we have to understand that we did our fight. We fought in court. There was 4, legal challenges, 4 different lawsuits that were merged into one hearing up there in federal court. It didn't go the way we expected or the way we hoped. We knew that we were going to lose this one and it was going to go to appeals. And so obviously we got a really horrific ruling there. And so from that, our response is we're going to file the appeal. And this is OFF. I'm speaking as a private person, but I'm just kind of relaying the information that I have from Oregon Firearms Federation on kind of what this looks like. I talked to one of the plaintiffs today, Adam Johnson, great guy. And so he kind of got me up to speed and kind of laid out kind of what this looks like for us, going forward. And so, everything's going to come down to, it's going to be a war of attrition. We need funding, and Oregon Firearms Federation needs support to kind of keep this thing going. One thing that's really, really important to understand with the process is we have all of these multiple lawsuits that are into this one case. But if we run out of funding when it comes to Oregon Firearms Federation, our part of the trial goes away. So none of that stuff would be heard in the next court. So it's really, really important is the state of Oregon, what they're trying to do, and they're doing some dirty-handed things right now, is they're trying to, bankrupt Oregon Firearms Federation, because that would be a way to cut out part of our case when it comes to Measure 114. And so, if this thing dies, if we run out of funding, that's how they're going to continue to win. And so, for us to stay inside this fight, we have to make sure that we help out with this cause. And this cause, this cause is really righteous. This is something we all have a vested interest in this thing going forward, and making sure this thing is funded. And so that's the information that I have, that going forward, it's going to be critical that we help out, and make sure that we help fund these lawsuits. One thing I did hear today from one of the plaintiffs, and Adam Johnson, is how the state of Oregon has now sent a bill to the Oregon Firearms Federation for all the expert witnesses. So you remember all those Freedom of Information requests, ask requests that I put out. So I saw, the data. I'm going to file another one once all of this stuff goes. I wanted to make sure that all the billing cycles closed before I filed another one. That way I had all of the information. And, my best guess would be definitely the state of Oregon's over $2 million in this lawsuit in defense. And now what they're doing is they've sent Oregon Firearms Federation a bill for $100,000 and all the court costs that are associated. Obviously, the state of Oregon is going to be responsible for all the legal bills on their end, right? Which, realistically, as taxpayers, we're all responsible for, which is great. If that doesn't, make you, fire you up, I don't know what else does. But on that is, we have the filing fees, we have court costs, we have, anything that's a party to that, the expert witnesses, that's all being passed on to Oregon Firearms Federation and the plaintiffs, because they lost this lawsuit. And so you're looking at six figures alone right there, just in expert witnesses on the other side. And you remember from court, I documented all of their expert witnesses. They were far from our expert witnesses. So one of the guys I saw, the guy from UC Berkeley, Brian, I forget his last, Brian DeLay, his testimony alone was $40,000. And the state of Oregon is trying to recoup that cost, by billing Oregon Firearms Federation and the other plaintiffs that are part of this lawsuit. And it's a mess. And this is something that is completely unacceptable, because us as taxpayers, we didn't have a say in who those expert witnesses were. They were far from expert witnesses. We had one lady one guy that was on the stand, and he was Googling as he was testifying, and he got shut down by the court. And Oregon Firearms Federation is going to be responsible for that part of his testimony. We also had another expert witness that her company was billing the state at over $1,300 an hour for her expert testimony. And so, this is, something that is, it's so maddening. And the only way that we're going to see any kind of, retribution here is if we continue to fund this and we get to the next court and we get a victory. Then we can countersue. Then we can say, hey, no, we're not going to pay these fees, and all of our legal fees are going to be expected to be returned to us, and we're going to be made whole. But it's going to take, we're going to have to stay up to date with this. We're going to have to stay involved. We don't know how long this could take. I mean, literally this could take, a couple of years. It could take up to 10 years to get to the Supreme Court. And so that's something that we have to be aware of, and it's not cheap. And, this was our fight, and this is the we played our hand, and obviously we had a bad judge, and she made a bad ruling. And I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, we're going to be okay. It just comes down to, we have to make sure that we help out. And I know it's challenging. The last thing we want to do is pay legal bills. But, if we don't pay these legal bills, that's how we really lose. And so that means, Measure 114 would go into effect. That means we'd have to have a permit to purchase. State of Oregon does not have a program for us to be able to get a permit to purchase. Obviously, our magazine capacity, we're going to be all criminals if we have something that has a detachable base plate. So, we all have a really big stake in this lawsuit. And, obviously we still have Harney County, so we have things to look forward to there. I've been in contact there with the attorney. He's doing a good, absolutely, 100%. And so one thing about this judge is very friendly with the Oregon DOJ. So they all run in the same circles. They all go to the same parties. Obviously, they want to pretend that the legal system is blind. In this system, in this situation, they all know somebody. And absolutely, Scott, 100%. So you 100% to $40,000. And that was just, one of his stuff. And remember about his stuff, what I found very kind of suspect about the Brian DeLay testimony is he admitted under oath that he spent the first part of his career learning about the history of firearms by only talking to liberal elite people that were in this, the gun control movement. So he didn't have any working knowledge outside of his echo chamber. And so that hardly makes him an expert when it comes to the history of firearms in a historical aspect, so, his stuff is definitely, he's got that UC Berkeley attitude where, he's God's gift to the gun control movement. He's a hired stooge, and that's all these people are. There's a lot of money in the gun. I mean, we're talking billions of dollars. And when it talks to, in hundreds of millions of dollars in the grand scheme of gun control. And we look at, Moms to Pound Action, we look at Everytown, and, so all of that stuff is all, related. And so, there's big business when it comes to this stuff. They, and at the end of the day, you and I know they don't want to fix this problem. What they want to do is they want to hamstring you. They want to make it harder for you to defend yourself. They also want to prosecute you, though, as well, because obviously they don't like you. They don't like the way your way of life. And they've made that, very, very clear. Absolutely, Kyle, 100%. It's a full-time job. So a lot of these guys, what they'll do is they'll double dip. So this guy, Brian DeLay, he's a tenured professor. He's making over six figures at UC Berkeley. And then what he does is he moonlights, and he's an expert witness on all these different cases. And, basically the way we can look at this is the state of Oregon can get whatever opinion they want to pay for. And so obviously whatever result they want, there's going to be somebody that's going to testify to that effect. And that's what happened. And so, that's, yeah, absolutely. 100%, Scott, you're 100% correct there. And so, these opinions are not 100% accurate. And what they do, and then what they'll do is they'll demonize our expert witness. They demonized, Adam Johnson. They tried to demonize Ashley Hablinski, so, all these other things, they've tried to do their best to make sure that they discredit our side, even though our side has all the experience. And so, these are things that we have to be aware of. It's not going to be cheap. It's not going to be fun, but this is something that's going to be necessary to protect our 2A rights here in Oregon. And, there's been a lot of people. It's been tough. It's been a tough couple of weeks just putting out information here into the group, making sure that we're still kind of engaged. I've been trying to take some time to do the stuff that I need to do and give you guys space. A lot of the stuff that I'm seeing, it's hard to put here in the group, because I know there's a lot of people that are, kind of upset, and we're kind of restless because we don't know when that next shoe is going to drop, So, a couple things that we want to be aware of is obviously, House Bill 2005. There was something that brought up, this is the ATF. There was a ruling at the Supreme Court. They want to kick it up to the full Supreme Court. And so they had a ruling when it comes to the frames and receivers. There's still talk about the ATF being able to prosecute gun owners when it comes to the frame and receiver rule, even though it hasn't been fully vetted by the Supreme Court. And so that's something that we need to be aware of. When it comes to 2005 here in Oregon, that's going to be affected by that ruling. And so there was, we need to not forget about those Republicans that said they were going to file a lawsuit. And they had a big check of $25,000 that was earmarked for this lawsuit. I've yet to see a lawsuit. And I've had multiple people ask, where's the money for this lawsuit? We should be filing a lawsuit right now because of, this thing is gone into effect. Obviously, we have 1 year. And so until it's going to be official and where we can be prosecuted, they're going to be giving us a grace period. But still, they're going to be creating a database. They're going to be looking to, prosecute you. And so these are all stuff, that's that's the thing. I would love some accountability. I would like people to come out and say, hey, where are we at on this lawsuit? What are we going to do? And, is this something that's, are we going to go forward with this, or was this all lip service? Because I think, there's going to be time where there's going to be people that are going to be asking for votes. There's going to be people that are going to be asking for donations. And I think it's going to be really, really important is we remember this stuff, and we got to hold these people accountable. And so we should not be afraid to lose seats, even though we don't want to lose seats. But, they use the fear of losing seats as a way to continue to do what they're doing to us, and to put out, big checks and have big old press releases and do all these things. But then they never follow through what they say they're going to do. And I don't know about you, it makes me angry, and it makes me want to just, sit on the sidelines and just let them all lose. And obviously I know it's not going to be a good thing for us as Oregonians, but I also know what I'm going to get when it comes to a Democrat that's running for office. I know what their platform is. I know how they're going to vote. I know how they're going to stand. And so at least I know at face value what my fight is. Okay. And, so that's kind of where I'm at. There's just a lot that goes into it. And I hope everybody's having a good summer. Hope everybody's able to, get out, get some shooting in, do some camping, spend some time with your families. But understand, going into September is where we're prepping for Harney County. And I'm hoping that we get the victory that we need. One thing to think about with Harney County, so that's going to start September 18th, and it's going to go roughly to the 25th is what it's scheduled for. The first 2 days are going to be when we're going to be up. So our side's going to be presenting the case. And so I'm going to be over there for those 2 days. And so I'm hoping to see a lot of people over there to go there to show support for our attorneys, and to let that judge know that we're there and we're rallied. And this stuff is really, really important to us and our families. And so, that's kind of where we're at. The comments have kind of died. So I don't know if people are still paying attention, or if you guys are still here, let me know. So, that's things that we have to be able, looking forward to is Harney County, and, there's going to be a different challenge there. And so I'm hoping that that's going to be what we're going to have a different way to present the information. So maybe that's going to be there. And so, yeah, Lonnie. So I look forward to seeing there if you're healed. I hope everything is going well. Yeah. So thanks, Eric. I hope you're doing good, man. So that's kind of where we're at. There's a kind of a lot to digest today, and excuse me. So I think the biggest takeaway. For some reason, not all my comments are posting up here. And so maybe I'll refresh it here. So one thing I want to focus on here, Scott, is I believe I think the judge over there in Harney County is an honest man. I think he was, obviously he's going to look at the facts of the case. And I think he's an honorable man. And so I'm not going to say that he was elected by his constituents over there. They're good folks over there in Burns and Harney County. And I truly believe that our best bet is going to be over there. And so I think it's just, we got to, keep an open mind, understand that everything's stacked against us. Right. But we have some things that are going to be working in our favor. And so we just have to stay positive, and that, I know it's hard to do, and we want victory. We want instant results. We want to be able to, go back to normal. But we have to look at the one thing that we have going for us is the state of Oregon doesn't have a permit to purchase program in place. They do not have anything ready. They made a couple mistakes, and they, obviously last December they showed up for court. They weren't ready with the permit to purchase program. They tried to move it to January, ended up moving it to February, all the way to March. And they still did not have a permit to purchase program in place, ready to go. And so this is stuff that the judge is going to take into account. And so this is something that's going to be in our favor when it comes to the permit to purchase program. And so we just have to understand, that's what's happening, and that's what we have to look forward to. Is they still have not done anything that they need to do to make sure that this thing is ready to go. And so the judge, in my opinion, is, and I'm not an attorney, I'm just one that plays here on Facebook here. That's going to be one where he's going to keep that TRO in place when it comes to the permit to purchase. There might be, there is a severability clause, which is a problem for us, because then it talks about, the magazine capacity and all these other things. They can go into effect, which would be bad for us because there's criminal penalties involved. And so when it comes to that, another thing that's not good there is it goes after any magazine that has a detachable base plate, right? So I could be, trying to be a good law-abiding citizen, right? And follow the law here, right? So we have this. This is a factory magazine, 15+1 Glock 19. I could go to a 10-round magazine. The problem is there's that detachable base plate right here. Every magazine, the most common self-defense handguns, are going to have a removable base plate. So even if I went to 10 rounds with a magazine, if it has a removable base plate, that is going to be illegal under Measure 114. It's going to be a Class A misdemeanor, right? Outside of my home or the range. And so, that's something that we have to be aware of is the way they wrote this. This is bad for us as Oregon gun owners. And I'm hoping that, we can present an effective case where we can show that this was egregious. This was something that was misleading to the public. I can't believe how many people I heard that didn't think that we had background checks in the state of Oregon. Okay. So they went ahead and voted yes. Even though they were gun owners, they didn't think we had background checks. And so it's all the way this ballot title was worded. It was very confusing, and it never should have been on the ballot. And Shemaiah Fagan, like, we look at Measure 110, Measure 113, Measure 114, and anything other than that, these things should not be on the ballot. There should be a constitutional test before it goes on the ballot. Then we wouldn't have this problem. And so, I really think that. And so we have to figure out a way to hold these people accountable. I really believe this. I believe he's an honorable man. I think that just by watching him in court and listening to his questions and watching his body language, I really feel that he understands the job. He understands what's at stake for Oregon gun owners. I really do. And so I feel that he is our best chance of restoring, law and order here and giving us the victory that we need. And so that's kind of where I'm at, and so, I just, there's good things that we need to focus on. Obviously there's stuff that we definitely need a call to action when it comes to is, making sure we're filling the coffers, making sure that we are helping out to make sure this court case doesn't die, because we needed to get to the Ninth Circuit, because we need a higher court to rule and basically rule the way Bruen says they're supposed to rule. And so, that's just kind of something that we have to be part of. And, it's not fun. I guarantee it. Last thing we want to do is fund lawsuits, but what are our options? And our options are, we check out, we move out of state. We just say that we're not going to participate in this and just start dealing with ourselves when it comes to firearms. There's just a lot of things, and I appreciate people that can help out, and donating. And I appreciate you, Kyle. And it doesn't take a lot. Just if we can just make sure that we keep it on our radar, and this money is going. I'll put a link in the video here so you guys all can have that link, and it's going to help further our position and better our position, and make sure we're still a part of this case. And so Absolutely. 100%, Lonnie. The one thing that we have to be mindful of, though, is, if he holds that TRO in place, there is a good chance that the state of Oregon could appeal to the Oregon Supreme Court, which would be bad for us because they're definitely not friendly to gun owners. So that's something that we do have to be aware of. Is we have our fingers crossed here, and we're just hoping for the best, and trying to make something out of this horrible situation. I mean, at the end of the day, even if this thing was to go in effect, it's not going to save lives, and that's the travesty is here. Is I see all these people that are celebrating all these new gun laws, and I'm like, okay, well, you got all these new gun laws. How many lives have been saved? Where's the proof that we're getting return on all these new gun laws? And they're like, well, we don't have the data. It's obviously, because there's no data that supports it, right? It says gun control is the biggest scam that's ever been perpetuated on the American people. And all it does is I'm starting to get I can feel my blood pressure going up because it is a total scam. And the only people it affects are people of color, women. It doesn't affect people like me, white males, because statistically violent crime does not happen to people like me. Happens in urban environments or people of color, domestic violence type situations. And it is a total scam is what it is. All it is redistribution of wealth. Is all it is you donate to these elites, these big organizations, and all they do is they send this money to politicians. Those politicians further the cause and take away more of your rights. That's how this works in 30-second bullet elevator speech type talk. That's the only thing. And so, Scott, one thing I want to be careful here is I've got a lot of comments that have been zucked is by stuff like this. I totally get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying, but we have to understand the algorithms are looking for anything when we get strikes, and they can shut down the group. And then what will we do? So, that's something, we have to understand. I saw something today. I didn't put it in the group because I think you guys have seen enough of Moms Demand Action. I'm really sick of Moms Demand Action. I'm really sick of Everytown. And so they had this university today where it was back east. They had Kamala Harris was there, and she was talking about yada, 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 all garbage. They had 2,000 people, and there's this big success story, right? And what they're doing is, they're pretending like they're doing something. They're not doing anything. All they're doing is they're just a nuisance is all they are. And they have the mic, they have the funding, and yeah, absolutely. Kamala is the worst. And that's, and the fact that they have her as this invited guest, and she probably talked about the same talk that she gave a talk about. It's just the way she talks. I can't even listen to it. And I didn't put it in the group because I didn't want to see you. I want you guys to have a happy Friday as best you guys can. And I get it, Scott, and I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. You just have to understand is how they're using it against us, and what they're trying to do. Oh, Jesus. Where's the NRA? Who wrote this? Oh, so Eric. So one thing, the NRA, and I've been trying to get through to people for a long time. I did see the NRA made a post today about some obscure victory that they got, but they are not on the forefront. They need a big time reboot. They need a rebrand. They need a leadership change, and so, that's where I don't recommend people spend their money with them just because the money is not going to be well used. And there's groups that are more active, Oregon Firearms Federation, they're local. FPC is doing stuff. FPC is kind of cringy with some of their stuff. GOA is doing a lot of work. Actually, GOA is helping in the Horny County case. sometimes I just shake my head. So I'll just keep my opinions to myself. So some of you guys with your comments, I just like, oh, cringe. So there's influencers, and then there's people that do the work. Okay. And so, while certain people are influencers that do work, they typically do work when a check shows up to do that work. And so with the situation that we're dealing with the NRA, I definitely would not be putting an influencer in a position of power. That's the last thing that we would need right now. So, it's just, it is part of the deal. And you'll learn through this process. I'm kind of jaded just because of all the time and effort that I put into this stuff, and understanding how this system works and who's valuable and who's not valuable. And because what I'm trying to do is make sure that the money that you do spend, I know you worked very, very hard for, and I want to make sure that it's well spent. And I want to make sure that the money that you do donate is well utilized. And so, that's kind of where I'm at. And absolutely 100% right here. I don't know. So I don't know who put that comment. That's hilarious, because that's the truth. They're buying Rolexes. They have private jets. They're flying, and they have security for them. It's a big thing. I don't know if you guys, I have a buddy that has a really good, his name is John Richardson, and he does a really good blog post, and I'll put the blog in here. But he tracks their funding, and he does really good breakdowns. I put some of his stuff in here because I want the people that are really into the NRA to kind of see the big picture and understand that, they're not, they're a great organization back in the day. Charlton Heston, he did some really good stuff. They kind of went downhill when they put it was definitely before my time, but put Oliver North in charge, and there were some people that they really shouldn't have put in charge. And so, Wayne, let's see you in a suit. What we'll do is we'll do a post, and we'll do put you in a suit, and we'll donate all the proceeds to charity, right? To go to Oregon Firearms Federation, right? So we'll put you in a suit, right? So, that's kind of where we're at. So just make sure that the money you do donate, it goes to people that are actively doing the work. And so just because I don't want you guys to feel that, the money that you are helping out with is not being properly utilized. And so that's kind of the thing. Yeah. You said it. I'm going to wear a suit when I go to Harney County. So I'm going to be all official, it's going to be weird because I don't know. So, but I got to get my practice on because I got to wear a suit the next couple of days after that. So it's just part of the deal. So not looking forward to it. I enjoy button ups and, just a regular kind of business casual as opposed to having to wear a suit, but it's part of the deal. So other than that, how's everything else looking? Are we doing any shooting? Are we doing any reloading? Are we exercising these rights that we have? Because we don't exercise these rights go away. What are we doing to get new people to the range? Are we teaching our kids about the importance of our 2A rights? What are we doing to advance our cause into the next generation? What are we doing? That's obviously, I'm bringing that up for conversation, right? Hoping you guys are seeing the importance of engaging with, people that don't know about firearms and getting them to the range. And, because all of that, that's how we have to put a face. We have to normalize gun ownership. And that's the biggest thing is it's such a diverse group of people that own guns now. And the left, Moms Demand Action, every town, they're going to say it's a bunch of rednecks. It's a bunch of, racist. It's not the case anymore. And especially in Oregon's a very diverse group of gun owners. And so the hardest part is getting us together under one tent, focused in one direction to be able to do some good together. And so that's been a big challenge. And so, I feel that we've made progress in the last year, and we still have a lot of work to do. But it's just one foot in front of the other, and so that's kind of where I'm at. So check my messages. All right, so I think I'm gonna get off here pretty soon. Soil agree. Yes. I'm still Wayne. I'm gonna hold you to that. We're gonna get you in a suit and donate all the proceeds to charity. So, but let's make sure that we do, keep up to date. I'll keep you guys posted if I hear any more when it comes to Harney County, how we're looking there. Obviously, we'll try to get as many people there as we can to show support. It'll be fun. Harney County is great. It'll be very refreshing. If you're from the Valley, if you're from Portland area, if you make it over to Burns, it's like a different world over there. It's really cool. Lots of great people over there, and so it's nice to be over there, and it's definitely refreshing, and so there's good food over there. There's good people. There's places to stay. So there's things if you guys want to come over there. You're more than welcome. And so, absolutely, Eric. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm gonna get off here. But my last thing I want to leave on here is just make sure you go to Oregon Firearms Federation. You guys can donate there, and make sure that you help out. And we need this thing to go on to the next appeal process, and we need to make sure that it gets there and it's received, and it's part of this. So. So let's see here. Scott, 100%. That is the biggest challenge, is critical thinking. And so much of our stuff is because the information is coming so fast at people, is they don't do their own research either. They're horrible at doing their own research. And so these little shorts, these little reels, these little TikTok videos, they see little bits and pieces that are taken out of context. They believe it as the truth, and that's something that we're definitely, it's an information war, and so that's something that we have to be conscious of that. And Wayne, yeah. Find a buddy that owns one. Maybe something retro. Maybe we think like 90s or 80s or 90s. Something back then. A little Miami Vice vibe or something. So, but just something to be aware of is we only lose if this thing dies and doesn't go to the appeals, and that's the only thing. And so, yeah, Kyle, it's we have to it's a different world over there, and I can see why people love it over there. Yeah, Benny Hill. At least you got a good sense of humor. I like it. So I'm gonna hold you to it. I better see some pictures of that suit. Okay. So, all right, I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna let you guys get back to your night. Make sure you guys can comment. You guys can share this with your friends that are in the group. Tag your friends. Make sure. Maybe we could do some challenges where, I challenge this person, $50 to donate to OFF. Maybe we can do something inventive to get creative to generate some funds there, because they need us right now. And so, if we run out of money, all of that information that we presented in court, like all of our expert witnesses, none of that information is going to be heard. All that stuff goes away unless we're a party of this appeal. And so that's just something to think about. So, no, I appreciate you, Scott. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys trusting me. And absolutely, 100%, Kyle. And don't tell them either. Surprise! No, I'm hoping it doesn't get to that. The thing is restricting your ability to defend yourself when these criminals don't care. That's where I find it's criminal. And so, that's where I think it's important that, we understand what the ramifications are. We understand what the risks are, and then we make up our own decisions, and we exercise liberty. So, hopefully we get this thing to get thrown out. Yep. Scott, 100%. No, no, here's the deal. Here's the deal. And Kyle, they're going to start with the rifles, and then they're going to go to the pump action shotgun. Then they're going to go to the lever action. Then they're going to the bolt action. They don't want us to have guns. Like, they have a fundamental hatred for the founding of our country. And this goes back to the globalist movement, where, they're going to say tinfoil hats. But I think there's some truth there. I think there's a one world agenda that they want to disarm us so they can do whatever they want to do to us. And if that means load us on cattle cars and take us to camps to re-educate us or have us eat bugs, like, I don't know what it looks like exactly, but I really think there's some truth. I've seen enough information to support that. And you could see from the messaging that they're using that I don't think I'm far off. And I'm not trying to scare people. I just want you to understand the big picture. Like, this fight is not a 1-year fight. This is not a 5-year fight. This is a generational fight for us. This is something we're fighting for our grandchildren right now. And it's the reason if we do not hold this line right now, the generations below us and younger than us are not going to have the strength. Kyle Meter, like, your generation is a lost generation. You are literally a unicorn. There's very few people of your generation that think like you. And so, I would love to, that's the thing, is we need to get them. They have to understand that, there's more to life than climate change. There's more to life than all these leftist talking points. We're talking about liberty. Without a firearm, there's no liberty. We saw that during COVID, because we saw the record number of people that were going to buy guns because they were afraid because of all the violent crime, everything. The cities were burning. They bought guns in record number. And they never thought they would be gun owners because they didn't like guns, but they realized really quickly, once their neighborhoods started burning and the looting happened, that they needed a gun for personal protection. And the problem is we didn't convert them. Okay. We didn't convert those people to votes. And that's where the gun industry has done a horrible job when it comes to outreach to people that are not like you and I. And so, that's the biggest thing here. And so, yeah, absolutely. You give them an inch. I'm done giving. I'll tell you right now, I've given all I'm going to give. And so I'm going to hold this line, and I need you to hold this line with me, because I know what I'm going to do. And I know what I'm going to do with my everyday life and my everyday routine, my everyday carry. And I've made that decision. But that's my decision. And so I don't expect everybody, and I'm not going to broadcast my decisions, because my decisions are not for public, consumption. They're my decision. And so, that's the thing, so that's, something that we have to, yeah. John Lennon. Yeah. Yeah. It's nasty. So it's just, you have to understand what we're up against. And I'm not trying to scare people. This stuff is all probably a long ways off, but preparation goes a long way. So, toilet paper, extra ammunition, reloading supplies, brass, parts for our firearms, canned foods, bottled water, all of this stuff is really, really important. And so, I learned a lot from COVID. I learned a lot about my weaknesses in my game when it comes to preparation, and never again. I'm not going to be put in that position ever again. And I'm hoping that we all learn. I'm to be honest with you, the more I see stuff about the mask, I get angry, because I'm angry that I gave up 2 years of my life, and somebody should pay for that. And so that's the thing. Scott. Scott Scott, here we go. That's great. You love eating bugs, but the thing is, could you do it every meal? I mean, could you make Could you make like a pot roast or a meatloaf out of bugs? Could you make bread out of bugs? I mean, that's I that's hilarious. That made my day, Scott. Thank you so much. Thanks for self-censoring yourself with that. So just understand, we're not out of this fight. This fight's going to go on for a long time. So, yeah, make that decision. Get right with the Lord, and so, oh, here we go. I'm not going to go there. So, the deal, Gerald, I don't care about Bill in China, right? I want that to go into my bank account. I want, from the state of Oregon, I want some form of reparation, because it affected my business, it affected my ability to work with children, it affected my health, it affected all of this stuff, my freedoms. I gave up to, and we all did. I'm speaking for myself right here because I have the microphone. Everybody suffered just alongside of me, okay? And so, that there should be some form of payment, or somebody should be incarcerated, somebody should pay, in that form, so that's kind of where I'm at, is we can't forget. Okay, one thing is I'm going to make a promise to you right now. I will never forget those 2 years, and I need you guys to never forget those 2 years, because if we forget those 2 years, they're going to do it again, and this time they're going to be more aggressive, because they're going to have to. They're going to have to come down hard. And I'm not saying this will happen. I'm speaking hypothetically. And I really, absolutely, I would, if I was a betting man, I would think, before the election, I would think there a way, I would definitely, I would think just before the election, some way to influence people where they don't show up because they're concerned. These people are so desperate for power because they have to keep control of the one party system. We look at what's happening in DC. It's a one party. They're just R's and D's with their names. They're all the same party. They're all fleecing the American people. They're all getting rich. They're all buying stocks. They're selling them right before the crashes. And all of us are stuck holding the bag saying, oh, well, I guess we'll not go to Thanksgiving with our families. So absolutely, Kyle. If I was going to bet, I would bet, because I mean, you look what they did. I mean, they really, I mean, I got to get off here. I'm going to lose it. Let's hope, Lonnie, let's hope. You know what? The way it doesn't succeed is when we say no. Okay. We stand together as Oregonians and say, no, we had enough. And that we're not going to let our kids be muzzled. We're not going to play this stuff. And absolutely. 100%, Brian. 100%. And I'll wear that badge of honor. That's why I'm being restricted on social media, because they don't want me to speak. They don't want me to rally you guys up and to use my platform to be able to educate you, to make sure you guys are up to date with what's happening. They want us all, like, it is gross. Say no, 100%. And if I wasn't on here, I'd be saying a lot stronger than just no. I'm trying to be professional. Kind of what FPC says. I really like what in small doses, right? I don't know if you've seen FPC's slogan. I like it in small doses. It's fitting. It's when they do it every post, it gets annoying, and it's a very strongly worded no. And if you know, you know. So absolutely, Scott, 100% right here. 100%. And what the thing is there, Scott, is the Republicans that took a picture with a big check for $25,000. They're expecting you to forget. And so we got to make sure that we remind them is we can't forget about that. And Lonnie, we'll see how soft we are. So, it literally altered the fabric of our society. And so that's, you know, something that we have to make sure that never happens again ever. So other than that, I'm gonna get off here. You guys have a great night. I'm gonna put the link to donate here in this video. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate you guys commenting. I appreciate you guys, you know, still being here and being a part of this. Absolutely, Colleen, 100%. And if they don't, they should be disqualified holding office. 100% right there. Great comment, Colleen. Thanks for tuning in. I hope all is well with you. So I'm going to get off here. You guys have a great, but remember, just say no. And Brian, this is why this is our fight. Our fight. We hold this line for our kids. Okay. I'm going to leave you with that. So have a great night. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.